Some people thought that he worked a little bit on Toy Story 5. No.
On this Deltarune survey, over 2,000 people rated what they thought about over 300 Deltarune theories. My co-host and I have ratings along with text responses and old theories just to look back on. Which theories were liked? Why were some theories even made? What did they think about?
For this video, we're gonna go through the secret boss category. You know, most of these are just secret boss theories for like chapter 3. Some are coming in later chapters. The thing that kind of makes these interesting is that, you know, the secret boss theories are like heavily based on like the patterns of like chapter 1 and 2. Because like Spamton and Jevil were like really similar to each other.
Yeah.
But that was like only set up to be subverted. So the thing is that a lot of these were wrong, but any of these could have happened because the secret bosses we did get were a bit different from what we were expecting.
Yeah, because like Spamton and Jevil had so many points of similarity that it's like, oh well, surely at least one or two of these is like something that's going to be consistent across all of them, right?
Yeah.
And then none of it was. It was just like Spamton and Jevil are really similar to each other, and that's it.
Yeah, so this will be interesting to go through. It's kind of wrong to call them secret bosses now. Like, it's super boss is more fitting because you encounter the knight no matter what you do, but you can go back and fight them. Yeah, but let's just get starting with these. Sham will be a secret boss. Starting with just a secret boss of a character that already exists, we have Sham. So the summary that was written out here is that Sham seems to know a lot about shadow crystals, and they knew Jevil. With how people were theorizing about secret bosses, it was like a new character would be introduced for each chapter. So it would be kind of weird to introduce a new character super late into the game, like a secret boss, only for it to just for the game to just end or whatever. So it would make more sense for it to be a character that we already know, and it's building up to that in some sort of way, maybe. So we're not just having another character just for the sake of it. And people did seem to like this one a fair amount.
Yeah,
a little bit all over the place, but mostly positive.
Yes. Sham Super Boss was definitely one of the more popular picks as like a late game Super Boss. I definitely thought Sham would be like the chapter 7 Super Boss.
Yeah.
And while I wouldn't say they're completely off the table,
they're not.
Now, I don't know, they seem less likely. There's a lot of things going around with this boss, right?
Yeah.
Because I know at some point Sham says that there's only like 2 more, I think, at the start of chapter 4. I don't remember exactly when they say this dialogue, but it's implied that like, hey, we're going to get the final shadow crystal in chapter 5, and then Sham will make the pure crystal for us using all the shadow crystals, right? It's not impossible we get the shadow crystal in chapter 5 through some weird means, and then the actual super boss fight is against Sham, and then beating Sham will get us the pure crystal, right? Something like that could happen. If that happens, I wouldn't be like too surprised. But then there's also like other stuff, like how they made a Sham plushie, and then Toby was like, oh, I had to like come up with a new design and stuff for them.
Oh, I remember. I have that written
gave
down.
them a staff and stuff.
One of the text responses did say that him having a plushie did make this theory more likely.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, Gaster has no merch, but also he's one of the most important characters.
Yeah. But then there's also like the like one cross stitch book or whatever that talks about Sham using the seam ripper as a weapon in combat, and like Sham is like canonically more powerful than Jevil, so it does feel like they're being set up, you know, to be a boss fight, right?
Yeah, even without the long buildup of like 7 pattern secret bosses that got gastered, though they're still kind of gastered.
This was definitely one of my more favorite super boss theories back in the day, but I've definitely like waned on it a bit more. But I also don't think it's like off the table completely. They might have like some weird transformation, right? And that's why Toby had to come up with the design for the plush and stuff for their boss fight.
The plush wasn't that different, though.
That too.
Yeah. Do you think the idea of having like 7 secret bosses that had like lots of patterns with each other was too ambitious or something?
I don't necessarily think it was that outrageous to be like, oh yeah, they're gonna all carry like a singular idea or trait.
Yeah, different
across all of them.
reactions. Yeah, different reactions to the prophecy. Yeah.
And in some way, they all still, at least in terms of like, for the most part, they're all still connected to freedom in some capacity.
Yeah.
Even the knight is like,
Yeah.
is connected to it in terms of how they relate to the prophecy and stuff. Plus, then we also have to factor in ERAM into all of that. But we'll talk more about ERAM later.
Yeah, DS do still come back, even if the theory might be wrong or whatever, or some theorizing
But yeah, I could.
wrong.
But yeah, as for like Sham, I could still see this end up being true.
Yeah, people did seem to be pretty on board with the idea, though some were a little too comfortable with the formula being set up. Like, I have a feeling secret bosses would be a new character introduced in the chapter, so no characters that had already been introduced beforehand in some way to this guy.
Even that I never thought would be the case, honestly, because like obviously, yeah, they have to be a new character introduced into that chapter in the first 2 chapters, but as the game goes on, you have more and more time to set them up ahead of time.
Yeah, it kind
like,
of
I wasn't
was already
expecting
broken
anybody after like chapter 4 really to have like 0 setup for a secret boss,
Yeah, Spamton was is someone you have to face like mandatorily. I guess it was kind of broken there in some way.
Well, yeah, you encounter Spamton in the alley first, and then you can do the secret boss quest.
Yeah, like one of the text responses was like, secret bosses are kind of meant to be secret though, but like they're
really
the knights.
When it comes with the new chapter, they're really not much of a secret at all. And even Spamton was barely a secret. He's a mandatory encounter,
Yeah, like we say, super boss is the more fitting term. Ooh, Ralsei will be a secret boss. So there was a lot of evidence that the prophecy was written by Gaster and that the prophecy was given or something specific was shown to like Jevil and Spamton, and Ralsei seemed to have like specific knowledge that they shouldn't have known of. Like, there were, like, 3 heroes appearing at the edge of the world, and you can see that exact same thing being mentioned by Gaster on this teaser before the game was even out. Like I said earlier, Spamton and Jevil, those were, like, different reactions to, like, the prophecy, and Ralsei would be, like, one specific reaction to the prophecy. As we see, he's trying to kind of sugarcoat it, or he might be trying to look at it in a very positive light, trying to make the best of the situation, and stuff like that. Instead of just making up a new character, we have someone who's already there. And we would find him as a secret boss.
Yeah.
The next one's pretty similar, though.
Do you know when most people thought Ralsei's secret boss would actually happen? Because I'm guessing the estimate would usually be in chapter 5, go along with, like, Flower King.
Guess.
That was usually the theory.
I
don't really know. Because here's the thing. I remember hearing about this theory a good amount back in the chapter 2 days. And back in the chapter 2 days, I wasn't a big fan of it, to be honest.
That's fair.
But now, after 3 and 4, I've kind of done a complete 180 on this theory. I actually really like it now, and and this is like my number 1 pick for chapter 5 super boss, to be honest, is Ralsei. I plan on talking about this in my like chapter 5 prediction video that I'm like kind of working on right now.
Let's see if that video is still let's see if that video's out when this video is out.
It might be. It depends on if I like slack off or not.
This one was not liked at all, as you can see.
No,
I mean, it wasn't super hated, but it's pretty negative. And some people seem to misinterpret this one. Like, Ralsei isn't evil. Ugh, that was one of the text responses. But like, evil Ralsei isn't the only way one could have Ralsei secret boss happen.
Yeah.
Just because we're fighting him doesn't mean that he's evil.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways this could play out. I think it just kind of makes sense that Ralsei would be the last Shadow Crystal holder at this point. Then with the new lore and information regarding the Shadow Crystals and how things have been playing out. So there's like 2 weird points regarding this that they're both kind of like not connected, but they are kind of with what we see in the new chapters, right? The only time a Shadow Crystal boss is like not a Darkner from the Dark World made by the Knight is in like chapter 3, right? Where Chris makes the fountain instead. And then the Knight is the one who has the Shadow Crystal. That kind of correlates the idea of like, hey, the Shadow Crystals are only in Dark Fountains made by the Knight. That kind of puts in the logic of like, hey, if chapter 5 is going to be made by like Chris or Asgore, which seem much more likely to make that fountain than the Knight, then if we already just doing
Oh.
Flower King and stuff, then logically the shadow crystals should be held by a darkener made by the knight, and that would have to be Ralsei, because logically the knight is more likely to have made Castletown than they would have made Flower King, right? So that's why Ralsei would have the shadow crystal.
Doesn't that confirm that the knight did make Castletown?
If that theory is correct, that's kind of the
Yeah.
logic we're going off of.
Yeah,
No, that
I do see the logic though.
Yeah. Now that might be wrong. Like the whole like knight having the chapter 3 crystal, that might be a weird coincidence. That's not really meant to be relevant. And the shadow crystals are not, from the knight in some capacity. They just kind of form whoever from like different lighteners, right? We got the information about the chapter 2 shadow crystal that Spamton found it in the Neo suit, and that the Neo suit would have to have been a very important dream of a lightener that was like abandoned. Like, logic being that the shadow crystals like form from the broken dreams of lighteners, right? So this correlates to like Ralsei being the red horn headband and being like Chris's persona. And that the reason why Ralsei has a shadow crystal is because he is like the embodiment of Chris's hopes and dreams of becoming a monster. And of course Chris would eventually abandon those dreams and like realize, oh yeah, I can't become a monster, yada yada. So, and then that would form the shadow crystal that Ralsei has. Right, because he's like the broken dream of Chris. This theory also would explain why Ralsei would have the last shadow crystal.
What's weird is that this theory scored a lot worse than Ralsei has a shadow crystal. Like, way worse.
I think it's also... Well, they were also thinking about it from a different perspective. Like, we didn't know how many shadow crystals there were back then, and also we didn't know that every person that has a shadow crystal would be a super boss, right?
Yeah.
Because Sham just says, hey, there's 5 shadow crystals, go collect them all. But that was in the new chapters. I think for chapter 5, my theory, right, is like either A, the super boss is going to be Ralsei. Beating him, he'll pull like a shadow crystal out of his back pocket and he'll give like a big lore dump and stuff about them or whatever. Or option B, Ralsei will have like a one-on-one fight like what Susie got in chapter 4 against like the super boss. And then after that boss fight, Ralsei will pull a shadow crystal out of his pocket and be like, I had this the whole time. The boss he fought, right, the guy he fights doesn't have the shadow crystal. Ralsei has the shadow crystal, but it was like a one-on-one fight.
It was a different guy?
Ralsei will simply pull a shadow crystal out of his pocket and be like, I had this the whole time.
That was a lot.
I think Ralsei would be the super boss. Yep. You didn't used to like it, now I like it a lot.
I guess it makes sense. I'm kind of indifferent. We're definitely gonna fight I definitely feel like we're gonna fight Ralsei in some way. And speaking of fighting Ralsei in some way, Ralsei will be a main boss. Well, technically, we're talking about secret bosses. But back when I made the survey, I felt like that Ralsei being a main boss was more likely, so I kind of put it right next to this theory.
That makes sense.
And this theory was suggested, and so it only felt fitting. And it does seem like people preferred this one over the previous one because of how important he is to the main cast. You can even see it on the text responses from the previous theory that they preferred this one.
That makes sense. To go along with the secret boss Ralsei theory I was just talking about, I would say if any of the fights would be like mandatory, or any of the Shadow Crystal bosses are like mandatory fights that you have to fight. If my Ralsei theory is correct, I would probably say Ralsei is the most likely one to be in that camp of like notably difficult, but you also have to beat him in some capacity.
Technically, the knight is mandatory too.
Yeah, but the knight's mandatory, but like it's an expected loss. That doesn't really count.
Yeah,
I'm talking about Ralsei's mandatory in that you can lose to him, and also you're expected to beat him in the same way that all the other main bosses are. But also that he's like not the main boss of the chapter, and also that he has a shadow crystal that you get from him.
There's the idea of like fighting against one of the main characters has just kind of always been there after like the first Susie fight. One tech response even brings this up. This might be something like how Susie fought Lancer. We had like different ideas and like, oh, we'll fight Noelle, we'll fight Ralsei, we'll fight Susie again, we'll fight the player, the angel, or Chris, or the vessel, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of theories for that could have been on here, but they weren't, you know. And now that it's been confirmed that Chris is like actually working with different parties and against them and such, it's just become more likely that we'll fight against like one of these different characters in some way, shape, or form, you know?
Yeah, I would say even ignoring the theory I just proposed about a Ralsei super boss fight,
Yeah.
Ralsei being a main boss in some capacity somewhere in the game
Yeah.
feels like it has a good chance of being correct. I
Yeah,
feel like
pretty
I'd be a little
much.
surprised if something like akin to this never happens.
That would be surprising. How to Draw Dragons Book will be the Chapter 3 secret boss. Now we're on to the Chapter 3 secret bosses, and these next few are gonna be about them. We're not starting out with a bang. This one did really bad. It isn't really based on anything specific, I guess.
Well, it's based
People
on the
just-
How to Draw Dragons book
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the Dreamer House.
Yeah, but I feel like it's something that's just came to be because people were just looking for different items and such in the house, and they were just trying to point towards one and be like, oh, maybe that could be the secret boss.
I don't know.
you
I think this was like a somewhat reasonable theory. I definitely expected
guess.
the How to Draw Dragons book to at least do something. And
Yeah.
it got done dirty. It got done dirty by doing literally nothing.
It did tell us that Azrael likes reptiles or something, didn't it?
That's confusing. Each fucking chapter we learn new lore about this godforsaken book, right? Now it's directly connected to deaths and stuff because we found a badly drawn traced dragon drawing in her bed, like under her bed and stuff.
Oh.
So now it's like, was this ever related to Azrael, or is this like Chris and Des doing shit, and Azrael just took the book out for them, and they didn't want to return it?
It's everyone. It's
Who's to
related
blame?
to everyone. Everyone likes dragons. Noelle likes
Yeah.
them. Des likes them. Astra likes them. But, you know, like I said, I understand, but I do feel like people were just trying to find different objects that could be secret bosses, and that's fine, you know, that's how theorizing is. You know, I feel like you just end up with too mundane of objects, you know?
I don't know if I'd say this is too mundane. I think this could have been
It's
very.
fair.
This was like a fairly reasonable theory,
Phone. Do you
even if
remember
it
the
didn't amount to
phone?
anything.
Do you remember the phone secret boss, that the phone would be the secret boss?
No, because that's just fucking Spamton.
Remote
Turns his
secret
hands into
boss.
phone.
That was very wrong.
We did
Remote
we did
secret
get
boss.
remote darkners, okay?
Yeah,
those
we
guys
did, we
become
did.
darkners. They were just regular
Yeah.
enemies.
Yeah, not a secret boss though.
I don't know. I thought that was a reasonable idea
Yeah.
to like be like, oh yeah, the remote has all the control. They're the real
Yeah.
they're the real one in charge. You know, that was a reasonable idea.
Yeah.
They just ended up being a regular enemy though.
Mhm. They were so overpowered. They could have taken down Tenna and they did nothing. Oh, people would bring up in text responses that would have been a book of some kind in TV World. This will be used for a really funny gag joke. Didn't happen. Not happening. Secret bosses are chronically unattractive, and this book is objectively sexy. This is
the
really
fucking book of hymns turned into a darkener in chapter 3, but the How to Draw Dragons book got literally nothing.
That's true. This text response is funny because, you know, people still like Spamton, and they'll just draw him in conventionally attractive ways. And 2, what kind of book are you imagining? Why is this book objectively sexy?
That's what the text says.
It does?
Yeah.
I forgot. It's been ages. You have like photographic memory of this game.
I do.
But yeah, this book is foreshadowing though, that's for sure.
Yeah, both Birdly and like the flavor text of the dialogue, I think, talks about it.
right,
And
I
Susie
remember
also
that.
reacts to it.
I remember that. Now that you say it's Birdly, it comes to me. Of course. Just have to mention Birdly and it comes to me. Did the next one do worse? No, I think this one did it do worse? No, I think it did slightly better. I don't even know. No, it did kind of worse.
It kind of did about the same.
Yeah, it did about
overall.
the same. Okay, yeah. Knockoff Controller. Yeah, like we see. It's also did really bad. It's also another weird objects. That
Random
didn't really
objects.
do much. Yeah. But this is pre-ERAM coded though. You can't lie.
Yeah, this one is just kind of correct. Honestly, I'm generous enough to just say, yeah, this one was correct. If you were
Kinda
saying, oh yeah, the
half
secret
right.
boss is going to be the knockoff controller, close enough.
Mhm.
It's close enough. I'm giving you the point.
Mhm.
Like you have to use the knockoff controller to play the ERAM game, which is like at least half of the secret boss fight, right? right? Like you're not like it's
Yeah.
technically possible to beat the knight without beating ERAM, but like you're not supposed to.
Yeah.
And like
it's hard.
ERAM is the more secret half of the secret boss fight. It's
Yeah.
like it also gives you like a unique equipment.
Yeah.
It's a boss fight. It's
Yeah.
harder than the knight, frankly. I took way more tries to beat
Really?
ERAM than I did to beat the knight.
Really?
Yeah.
It's hard?
I beat the knight on my first try. I
Are you
took like
kidding me?
16. Yeah. I think I took like 16 tries to beat ERAM. I beat the knight on my first try. The knight is not that hard. You haven't even attempted it. It's
Okay.
especially not
Don't
that hard
say
if you
that.
actually
Don't
just
say
beat
that
all the
out
enemies.
loud. I'm embarrassed.
Now, to be fair, I fought the knight on my first time on my weird route playthrough where I was actively beating all the enemies and leveling up. Not necessarily to
Okay.
make the fight easier, but just because I'm like, this is my weird route playthrough. I don't get any recruits.
Yeah. A thing with this theory, though, is that I did a mistake in the summary. I wrote that that you could find a normal controller and the knockoff controller, you know? The knockoff controller would be player 2. And sometimes player 2 characters are put in the shadow, you know? Think Luigi. Toby Fox has also made references to Luigi disappearing. Yeah, that one came out of nowhere. That wasn't even in the summary. The mistake was that I wrote that the secret bosses kind of parallel Chris. So this controller would have like similarities with Chris. But then you have like people pointing out that it was Astral who used the knockoff controller, you know,
Yes.
to be
That's
kind
true.
to Chris.
Yeah,
Like,
Azul
people
was
say-
the one who used the knockoff controller, but in chapter 3, we used the knockoff controller to do the ERAM fight.
So that's funny.
So even though Azrael used it, that didn't matter. It was still right anyway.
Like you can see that being pointed out. God damn it, Chris did not use the knockoff controller. Astral is using the knockoff one. Any theory that somehow misses basic fucking text is automatically shit. And you know, it's mostly just my bad, but also like I didn't write in the summary that I don't think I wrote.
Okay,
in
but
the
your summary was correct, and their points were fucking wrong, and Toby didn't fucking care about Azrael using the controller.
I don't think I wrote that.
Toby wrote that
I don't
shit,
think
and he still
I didn't even write.
made
I don't think I
use the
wrote
controller.
that Chris. I don't think I wrote that Chris was the one using it. I was just like, oh hey, they have similarities with these controllers, and they kind of
Yes.
Chris and Asriel, stuff like that.
Yeah, that commentary is dumb and wrong, and your
Okay.
point was literally correct in the summary.
Okay, so
The
I guess I
summary
don't.
was just correct.
Okay, so I guess I don't have to feel bad about doing errors or something like that. No. Okay.
No, they were literally
Awesome.
just fucking wrong, and you were literally just
Awesome
correct.
sauce.
Um,
Awesome sauce.
Yeah, to be honest, back in the chapter 2 days, I wasn't like the biggest fan of this theory. I didn't necessarily like super hate it, but I was definitely very convinced that we were going to save all the video game stuff for chapter 5, and that chapter 5 would be video game themed. In retrospect, you know, with the Spamton sweepstakes, I guess I should have, you know, put 1 and 2 together that chapter 3 is not actually going to be TV themed, but is going to be like video game themed with like some
don't-
TV sprinkles on top.
I still agree with you that it was only video game themed.
I mean, I'm not saying it's only video game themed, but it is definitely mostly video game themed. It's like mostly video games. 80% of the chapter is all video game stuff, right? The TV stuff is really just kind of like extra there.
Yeah.
It's definitely more video game themed than TV themed, especially in relation to the super boss fight with ERAM and stuff. And the knockoff controller would be the chapter 3 secret boss.
Kinda.
Kind of not, but like here's the thing, right? I would say this theory is correct, but it was also not correct in any way that anybody ever thought it would be, right?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody really thought that
No.
we'd be using it to play a video game that contained the secret boss.
Yeah.
Like nobody thought we would be playing Zelda in chapter 3, that's for sure.
Yeah, nobody thought that.
Even after the second Spamton sweepstakes, where people figured out, hey, this secret boss teaser thing is somehow connected to Link's Awakening. What does that mean? Well, it turns out it means that the boss fight is literally play a Zelda bootleg.
Yeah, I remember that dialogue. I remember. That was
Yeah.
weird. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that
Yeah.
up. Even though I've seen it been referenced, I just like mentioning it. I just like talking about old stuff like that. How about this as like a criticism for the theory? The knockoff controller is just meant to be a nostalgia thing, just showing us more of Asriel's and Chris's bond with each other. It was
Well,
just
I would definitely say it sure was a nostalgia thing. It was also sure definitely a core component of the super boss fight.
Yeah. Okay. The garbage flowers. will be the Chapter 3 secret boss. In Chapter 1, you could go to Asgore and he'd give you some flowers and he'd be like, you should give these to Toriel. Toriel, my ex-wife. And then you give them Toriel, and Toriel gets like annoyed and throws them in the trash. And then people thought that this could like become the secret boss.
Yes.
You had to go out of your way to access it through this way. And you would get like references to Flowey, because you know, flowers. And it's in the Dreamer House, so it's spinning. And this is one of the Chapter 3 secret boss with the most positive votes.
Yeah, this was a pretty popular theory.
It's one of the better ones, for sure. But I didn't really like it back then.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan either.
Yeah, it wasn't TV or media themed at all. But like, can I really judge it on that way now? Actually, technically, with the previous one, that one kind of fits with the theme of video games. So, I don't know. Would this really... I guess this wouldn't work regardless. I don't know. We did get the Night of Secret Boss, though, so it's weird, you know?
I was about to say, like, the flower stuff didn't do that much in general in Chapter 3.
No.
Outside of getting referenced a few times and, like, showing up a little bit in the Tenna board as, like, regular enemies. There was also, like, flower enemies in Sword Root and stuff, but yeah.
Back in the Chapter 2 days, I had very strict ideas, or what could count as like a good candidate for like a secret boss. Like, it had to be like a retracted item by large amounts of people. It could not be something very specific, like, some flowers my ex-husband gave me, you know? It has to be like spam email. Nobody likes spam email.
Yeah,
so
something that everybody universally throws out.
Yeah, like, it's not the shit I took yesterday. That's not gonna be the secret boss. It also had to be related to the Dark World theme, like TV, media themed or whatever. And a bonus one was that it had to be Carnival themed, you know? Like Friend Inside Me and such, you know? And it didn't really fit any of those, you know? These were all the patterns, you know, you typically find in these patterns. It was pretty heavy on
it was a very pattern heavy. Yeah. And like for most people, this theory still worked with the discarded idea because the flowers are specifically discarded and stuff, even if they don't go with like everybody discards it. And you know, that is like an interesting point to bring up of how like that was like a very universally agreed upon thing for the most part.
Yeah.
Like everybody agreed that like, oh yeah, the secret bosses are going to be discarded items specifically. Yeah. You know? And that didn't end up being true at all. That didn't end up being true at all.
Yeah.
It was
I remember back when
Spamton and Jevil shared that one specific trait.
Controller? I don't know. Not really. I remember back when we did the podcast thing, for like when the trailer dropped and such, I asked about like these restrictions I had and what you thought the secret boss in Chapter 4 would be, and what would this secret boss be with these restrictions under a church theme be? And you just said, I don't know. And which, I don't know, in hindsight, maybe it like kind of shows that the structure wouldn't exactly fit here, maybe. I don't know.
Well, yeah. I think a big thing about me regarding like the reason why I couldn't figure out what the Chapter 4 secret boss was going to be.
I know.
Was because I thought Gerson was going to be the main boss, right?
That was funny.
So it's like I got the theming and like the characterization and stuff all right for Chapter 4. And the reason why I didn't get the secret boss and stuff, I couldn't figure it out, is because the guy I thought would be main boss was the secret boss. It's just that he would be functioning more akin to how the main bosses in the previous chapters did work.
Yeah.
Right?
He should have been mandatory. He
really does feel like he should be a mandatory fight.
Yeah.
Like if you don't do him, it just feels like Susie's missing a core component of her character arc.
Yeah. I'm sure someone could come up with like a great concept that's a religion-themed secret boss that fits within those restrictions I mentioned. And I kind of want to hear some ideas. The
only one I ever remember seeing was like a false god, like a false deity.
Oh.
Like some kind of pagan god or something like that. That's the only one I ever remember people like suggesting and stuff.
Okay, that's interesting. If anyone has any ideas, comment them. I kind of want to see them because I wanted to see them back then and I didn't get an answer. Well, I did get an answer, but it wasn't Gerson I was looking for. Well, I was looking for Gerson. I was expecting Gerson, but I wasn't expecting him for the secret boss. Anyways, back to the flowers. Yeah, I just thought about this, but this would have been a flower boss in the Dark World that's not Flower King, you know? People also brought that up in the text responses, calling the boss redundant. Does that make sense, you know?
I think it makes sense that we didn't do the flowers and stuff because, like, we're doing Flower King and stuff. We're going to do a
Yeah,
shit ton
yeah,
of flower
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
there. Like, that's the thing. Like, this theory, I feel like, could only work under the context of not having a Flower King Dark World, right?
Yeah, that would make
Because the
sense.
second you do a Flower King Dark World, it's just like, why the fuck would we have the flowers be the sewer boss if we're also doing a shit ton of
Yeah.
flower stuff there?
There was like a secret boss fan design that was like a mixture of Woody theory or something, like a cowboy or something, and this flower idea. It kind of looked like Pizza Tower to me. I found that neat. Pedally, I think that's the name. Pedally.
Yeah, I think so. I
Yeah.
remember the design.
Yeah, this guy was brought up in the text responses. And the weird thing about these secret bosses in hindsight that kind of makes these weird to talk about is that, you know, like these were all wrong. So it kind of feels like we're talking about fan OCs, you know? We're not talking about a specific direction the game could have gone with a specific character that already exists. It's like we're making up a new character, you know?
Yeah, but to be
We're
fair,
talking-
most of these are based off of already explicitly stated items that exist.
Yeah.
Within the game, and then being like, what if there was a Darkner and they happen to be the boss?
Yeah.
Right?
But you get what I mean. We're basically like kind of talking
Yeah.
about OCs in a way.
To an extent.
Yeah, I have one
I mean,
more thing.
all of these theories were specifically popular enough that there was a lot of different fan takes regarding them.
Yeah. I have one more thing I want to talk about with these flowers. There was like, I saw one thing discussed a little bit in regards to the weird root. Like, what if, like, the weird root is extreme with how one has to continue it, with how one had to even activate it. For example, you'd have to use the correct save file to get the right item from Astral's drawer and use that to, and you would also have to like use the flower from Astral and continue the weird root in some way, because it continues on with like the idea of like the weird root being something that's like hard to do in some way.
It's going in on the idea of the player trying everything in its way just to make the ending different.
And it's not just Genocide Route 2.
Right. I don't know, that sounds like kind of obnoxious in theory.
It's fair.
Like, the weird root's already weird and hyper-specific. Having to do it in a specific save file, that would be horrible.
Those save files are weird. I feel like those are just there, so it's convenient to even do weird routes. Friend inside me. Look at this one. This is a theory. This is a theory by Spooky Dude. Oh my god, I have a long ass summary for this one. Do I even need? So basically, the secret boss of Chapter 3 would be a cowboy, and this would be like a reference to Toy Story. A cowboy from a canceled western. A canceled show in a less popular genre falls in line with secret boss patterns, and it being forgotten, and it being related to the Dark World theme. That's basically the gist of it, but you have like a bunch of like references to Toy Story by Toby himself. You have the big one. You have the Friend Inside Me Tumblr post. There's a lot of different things like this. A reference to Toy Story 2 inside the newsletter. Different photos of just Toby being with a Woody standee, making references to it and concept art, other stuff like that. Pregnant bee, you know.
Yeah.
And the weird thing is now it's gotten like more likely and such.
Yeah.
I feel like this chart is very fitting for this theory. It's look at this. It's a mess.
Yeah.
This is probably the most insane chart for any theory on this survey. I mean, I've come across the charts like this, but this is so funny. Like in the controversial theories would like sometimes get ironic 10 out of 10s, you know? So, I don't know, this is kind of expected for Friend Inside Me, you know? It's almost beating, the 10s are almost beating the 1s.
Yeah.
You know, but also some of the 10s are definitely probably unironic this time around compared to like controversial theories where some would be ironic 10s.
Yeah.
But this just being Friend Inside Me of all things did make me just give it a 10. Why wouldn't I want this to be true? This is funny. This is good. This is exactly what theorizing is about. You know? It's a good meme. Lots of people like saying Friend Inside Me. People were just memeing and saying Friend Inside Me in the text responses. It's funny.
Yeah. I guess I get a bit more serious.
Yeah, now we have Neo Woody Theory. That is a thing.
I was a big fan of Woody Theory.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of Woody Theory. I liked it a lot. I thought the theory was right. You want to talk a bit more in depth about what the theory was like actually saying a lot of the times? Because like in its most simplest form, Woody Theory was just Chapter 3 super boss will be a cowboy.
Yeah, that
From
was
a canceled
basically
TV
it.
show. Right, that's the most simplest form. But then we also had like the whole friend inside me stuff, which connects back to friend, and then on top of that also connects back into Mike, right?
And
Which
the
is why we get the Mike
soul.
room. So like the most like complete form of the theory, right, with all the bells and whistles, was that
Spooky Dude video.
Mike is a cowboy from a canceled TV show who is also friend, who is connected to Spamton, acquiring like wealth and all that stuff and becoming a big shot, whose cancellation on TV caused like Spamton Antenna's downfall, essentially. So he's like Mike the cowboy, and he's a friend, and he's your friend, right? And he's friend, right? That's the idea. It's like
friend.
Mike is friend who is a cowboy. That's the theory, which is why we get the Mike rooms, right? Right? Because the Mike rooms are like the most popular Mike/friend theories, right? All of them are that specifically.
Yeah.
We got the first Mike, who is meant to be like a parody of the original like Mike Tenna design, right? When everybody thought Mike would be Tenna before the sweepstakes came out and clarified that they are two different characters. People thought Mike would just be the next main boss, right? And then we got the cowboy Mike, who is meant to be, Woody Theory's friend inside me. And then we have Pluie, who is like the cat friend Mike, where Mike is a cat and is also friend, right? The important about that, though, is that friend is a cat, but they're not Mike.
Yeah.
They're not Mike ? Maybe they sell it. If they are still Mike, somehow, then what the fuck is Pluie doing here? Why are you giving like this theory a consolation prize when it was just
it's
correct?
Weird.
Which the fact that Pluie is getting like this weird consolation Mike prize, despite being mostly correct, because friend was a cat, leads me to believe that Woody Theory is going to end up being more correct. That we are going to get some kind of cowboy boss fight in Chapter 5. Not necessarily the super boss, but some kind of cowboy boss fight. Could just be a mini boss. Could just be the yellow flower.
Yeah, there's
right?
the new Woody Theory. There's more evidence for this now. There's literally setup for this in game. You have the fucking cut Tenna board. Ironic because it's cut, it's canceled. It included important mentions of a cowboy show in question. Asgore's favorite show. It's a canceled cowboy show, and it parallels Asgore. Because cowboy police, it's someone that upholds justice. It's canceled because Asgore is no longer a police.
Yeah.
And you have the old TV at Asgore's house. The old TV's there.
What I think's gonna happen is I think the Woody Theory is gonna come true in the form of the yellow colored flower, specifically because the yellow soul in Undertale was a cowboy.
Pedally.
So that's what I think's gonna happen. The yellow colored flower gonna be cowboy themed. The colored flowers are gonna connect back to the 7 human souls and stuff. They're all gonna be centered around them thematically in some capacity. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, because all the Mikes, right, those theories were like, yes, this theory is true, but also they're not friend and they're not Mike. They're somebody else, right? Because even the first one, it was like, yes, Tenna is a TV head, but he's not Mike and he's not friend. He's a different character. And that's also like it's true with like Pluie, where it's like, yes, friend is a cat, but friend is not Mike. And so I think that's going to happen with Woody Theory as well.
Yeah, I'm just happy
that's what the
Mikes
Mikes
still alive.
are about.
This is a really good theory. I like the friend inside me meme. I like that this theory had two resurgences, like Neo Woody Theory, but we also had like a screen cap of like content that was scrapped before chapter 3 and 4, like in the newsletter. And it seemed like it debunked it. I stayed loyal to it because it's the best theory of all time. You're not a real friend inside me if you stop believing in it. Then the second, the other resurgence, it happened right after the trailer. We got to see the some things that were kind of scrapped were still kind of included. The sneaking segments was kind of included slightly.
That was like for everything he fucking said got scrapped.
Yeah.
Like so much shit did get cut, but most of it ended up just getting reworked.
Yeah.
Always bet on Woody Theory. Woody Theory will come back in chapter 5.
Brendan,
the fucking like it's the Avengers end card. Woody will return in Deltarune chapter 5.
This is the only brain rot meme in this community that I like. This is such a big meme. Weird mashups, original songs, and designs and such. So if Neo Woody Theory is true, then I hope it doesn't overshadow the fan con. It probably won't, because that a lot of it was like the secret boss is literally just Woody from Toy Story, not like a proper original character, legally distinct, you know? Some of them are just fucking Woody from Toy Story. There's also like those weird Twitter accounts. Like if anything Toy Story related, Woody related is posted, then they're gonna be fans to reply with just saying friend inside me. It's funny. Some people got kind of warmed up about that, saying that it was just a shit post unrelated to Deltarune, and that people were like overanalyzing everything, you know. But also, while that is true, it unfortunately wasn't for Friend Inside Me, because Friend Inside Me is the best theory of all time. It is. I may have sacrificed someone to keep this one alive. Anyways, what do you say?
How do you feel about Toby's quote retweeting the Toy Story 5?
Do we need to say that? Do we need to say that?
Yeah.
It's just.
How can we not acknowledge it?
Fair enough. Okay, I think it's just one. It's just one big joke. He's being vague on purpose. I'm not gonna fall for it.
I think it's teasing. I think it's teasing Woody in Chapter 5. I'm telling you.
It's teasing in Chapter 5, but he knows that it's a big meme, and he's just messing around. You know, regardless of whether or not it's in the game. Some people thought that he worked a little bit on Toy Story 5. No, maybe I don't want to care.
Come on, Chapter 5, give me Woody.
Friend Inside Me is just Spamton. But what if Friend Inside Me wasn't true at all? What were we gonna do? Basically, this is just a little cope theory I came up with. I only made it so that there could be a way for Friend Inside Me to still be in the game without a secret boss. But you know, Neo Woody theory is better and will happen, and it became a thing. So I don't need to think about this idea.
Basically, okay. Because I thought this was meant to be asking if image friend, right? Device image friend or whatever is just Spamton.
Okay.
And you worded it really weirdly, misinterpreting friend inside me.
Why the fuck would I weird it? Is that what you thought when you did this survey?
No, but that's what I thought when I looked at this. Okay. I think I did the survey before this question was added, because this was one of the ones that came out Yeah, and I was like one of the first few people to do it. I was in the first 200 or whatever.
Okay. The summary there was that some people think that Friend Inside Me had too many similarities with Spam. And with that in mind, that might be because like ideas or similarities or inspiration was like taken from the Woody character. Of him like being a toy, like a weird toy-like guy, made it big once and then fell off, you know, kind of similar to what happens in Toy Story 2. His Friend Inside Me feels like he has someone inside him controlling them, which some people felt was too similar to Spamton. And the post even came up before Chapter 2, so Spamton might have been based on Woody, or even the meme. Or, like, even in Toy Story 2, we see that they use like puppets on strings. And that is exactly what Spamton has. So you do have like these similarities and such. But yeah, people didn't really love it. But it's not like I wanted this to be true because, you know, Friend Inside Me is the best theory ever. Why wouldn't you want that to become true? Spamton did have like the real boy stuff. He mentions that, you know, that's more related to Pinocchio puppets and stuff. And I mean, this could still technically be true, but like, you know, like I've said, Neo Woody theory is right there. This is a weird theory because it's not like people that like Friend Inside Me will really connect themselves with this one because they want Friend Inside Me to be real. You know, you can see that in text responses. But I like Woody theory. I need Woody. So, you know, basically, if the Woody theory was debunked, this could have gotten followers. I was just thinking really far ahead. Making a theory just so Friend Inside Me would be in the game no matter what. Just Doctor Stranging this shit. I could have done that for the night, but I did it here instead. So low ratings just kind of came from that. But also people just wanted nothing Friend Inside Me related. But as we know, those people are not humans. Because Friend Inside Me is the best. But you know, you could see some people who like understood the theory. Makes sense. Woody theory feels too similar to Spamton. I'll take it over Woody theory. Okay, didn't know all that. Seems likely, actually. Sure, why not? But yeah, this one didn't do great. It didn't have the right audience. This theory was not made in the right universe.
Secret boss in Chapter 3 will be a radio host.
Now, this is one I liked back in the day. Well, basically, the idea was that before TV We had radio. It kind of replaced radio because it had the visual component. Component? How do you say component?
Component.
Component.
Yeah, you're saying it right. I don't know. I don't know why you're
Component.
struggling. You're not even saying it wrong.
Visual component. Yeah, it was kind of as simple as that. I didn't need to write radio host. That was a bit needless. I could have been less specific than that, but you know, this one was kind of in the middle. I mean, it wasn't hated or anything, but a lot of these secret boss theories are kind of in the middle. Unless it's something that's more considered, then it will have a few more positive. A lot of them aren't like swayed super hard one way. I feel a lot of them are just kind of in the middle. How do you feel? How did you feel?
This was like whatever. I thought it was reasonable. I didn't dislike it, but also I didn't like it or anything. It was no Woody theory. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, you preferred Woody theory? That's fair. Yeah, Woody theory was better. But also, it was such a meme. I did know. I would acknowledge that Woody theory was such a big meme. It was based on like very weird shit. This is kind of my plan B. You know, this is the more reasonable thing to really guess. You know.
See, I think my second pick was like a VCR tape.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Outdated recording format.
Yeah, but this is the same thing, and it's like it's TV but worse. That's kind of bad.
Because there's no radio in like the house, I don't think.
Because it's forgotten, silly.
Yeah, but you can't be a darkener if it's not in the house. Anyway.
Well, it's in the house. You just couldn't find it, silly.
Right. No, yeah, because like Woody theory is my favorite theory, because even before it became like a meme and stuff, my pick was like a canceled TV show, Darkener. That was like my pick even before Woody theory was a meme. So when Woody theory like came out, I just hopped on board on that because that was like it was already funny. It was just my theory, but like more specific.
Radio show host. This radio thing, it fit with the theme, you know, of media and entertainment. But also the name. People were talking about the name mic, you know, microphone. You gotta record
that makes
the
sense.
Microphone.
Because everybody thought the secret boss would be Mike.
Yeah, that is a theory. Well, that is on the survey that the secret boss in chapter 3 will be named Mike. I was also guilty of this thing is called this thing, then the other thing must be called this thing. Continuing on with this one, people also thought that this one had too many similarities with Spamton, like too similar to Spamton, which is a little funny because he ended up having this whole relationship with Tenna of sorts. You know, they have a lot of similarities with each other. So, I don't know. I mean, but also, like, a lot of Chapter 2 fan content is based off what they're currently seeing, you know? Because if you go back to, like, Chapter 1, you can see, like, the Queen looking a lot like King.
Yeah. Yeah, people thought the game was actually going to be like the game that they had been playing up until now. And not Zelda for some reason.
Yeah, like you said, you can't really find any dialogue option for this object. In one text response points that out, like, I like it, but what object in the Dreamer house? Some funny text responses, you know, video killed the radio star. And there were also lots of references to Haspin Hotel. You have the Alistair guy, the radio demon.
Happy we did not get a radio super boss, because I would never hear the end of it. About
Wait, what do you
shit.
mean?
People would just be making Alistair memes like 24/7 if it ended up being true.
People are already doing that with the other guy.
Tenna?
I meant the guy in Haspin Hotel. I don't remember his name.
Oh yeah, you're right, Vox.
TV head. Vox, that was his name. Vox.
Yeah.
It happened anyways.
So imagine if Tenna is exactly how he is right now, but we also got Mike the radio host as a fucking
that would have been
boss.
insane.
Right, that would have been incredible. It would have been Haspin Hotel. It would have fucking been Haspin Hotel.
That would have been funny. Radio host boss would be better fitted as the main boss, not secret. I think a TV host will probably be the main boss, not a secret one. I don't know what they mean. Radio. What do you?
They're Undertale fans. They can't read.
Yeah. Apple Girlington. Something that the unused Apple shampoo will be a secret boss based on an old Toby Fox improvisation music. He mentions this made-up character, Apple Girlington, in a Japanese interview. This is like some weird evidence for this. In a Japanese interview, they talk about the Mario movie, Apple shampoo, and then he starts talking about how the green apple wants to be like red apple. their older brother, you know? And this helps it connect to Chris and the other secret bosses having similarities with Chris and such, you know? What do you even
I
know
know about
Apple?
Apple Girlington.
Okay,
I know about
yeah.
Apple Girlington. I'm not nobody. I know about Apple Girlington. It's Toby's Toho fan OC. Made a song for her and everything. It's an Apple disaster.
Apple disaster. Wasn't this just something he made
Yeah.
up while
He
improvising?
literally just made it up on the spot. He was
Yeah.
improvising a Toho song. And be like, they all fucking sound the same.
Yeah, this one did not do well. Like the other chapter 3 secret
feel
bosses.
like-
It's very
I feel like I
random.
see this even back
it's-
in the chapter 2 days. I don't
Yes.
remember seeing this in component
What?
with chapter 3. I remember people talking about it in component with chapter 5 in Flower King.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I thought the theories I saw were for chapter 3. Yeah, you know, spaghetti. That's where I knew this from.
I mean, I know like there's always like one guy, you know, who's like
There's always like one guy. There's always
There's
that one
one-
guy.
there's like one person that believes in like Apple Girlington
Yeah.
and posts about it.
This character was recognized. People did find it funny, and others also not, you know? And the sentiment of, like, letting Toby's shitpost in peace showed up again, you know?
Feels a little random.
Yeah, like I said, the reason why this kind of did bad was just kind of random and this weird Toho joke. And
I think
actually
the
related to
weird
game.
thing about this one for me is that if it ends up coming true, I feel like I wouldn't even be surprised. It'd be like, oh yeah, there's Apple Girlington.
I would be... I would be...
Yeah,
I don't
that
even...
seems about right.
I would go insane. I would go Joker mode.
Yeah,
I've
I
never
feel like
said
I
that
wouldn't be
phrase.
surprised if it ends up being true, but also like if it doesn't end up being true, I will also just not care at all in the slightest.
I find the Luigi evidence that I wrote down in the summary really funny because of like you've seen those old tweets, Toby tweets, where he like talks about Luigi being forgotten and everything, and it's it's supposed to be about Gaster.
I don't
You
know.
know, you haven't? Okay.
That sounds familiar. That sounds familiar. I feel like I've seen that before. I just don't really care.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. We did record this before the Chapter 5 trailer dropped, but I do just want to jump in and say that after that trailer, this theory definitely has more of a chance of being true in some sort of way.
The secret
know,
boss is TV static.
Yeah,
Yes.
some think that the weird page with static, like during the Spamton sweepstakes, was hinting at this static secret boss. And static fits really well with something like getting thrown away. It fits with the idea of something people want gone on a large scale, you know, similar to spam email, Joker cards, you know?
Yes.
You know?
Yes. I
Yeah.
guess the idea would be like Tenna's evil alter ego. Who's like he has a split personality or something like that.
Yeah, that was kind of a
No.
problem with, or kind of. I don't know. That would have been cool.
Like that was the
You know,
idea, I guess.
not
Like Tenna would go
necessarily, but
static mode, and he's a different person, and now he's Mike or some
Yeah.
shit.
that would have actually
Mike,
been
the
interesting.
TV static.
Yeah, you would have to find a different character side of Tenna. You know, a friend inside me. You know.
Yeah, I guess
You
that
know,
could
yeah.
work.
That's not really what I imagined when I thought of this theory, but yeah. With text responses, you know, some people would say, like, it would be too abstract. How would they make a boss out of static? And, I don't know, this is the game where a laptop turns into a lady. And also, play Earthbound, play the entire thing, come back to this video, and then you can tell me if you can make a boss out of static, you know?
Yeah.
With theorizing here, it requires one to imagine a new character for Chapter 3 we haven't seen yet, you know, based on random supposed evidence. You have to just guess that. And so you really have to suspend your suspension of disbelief or whatever when theorizing or imagining these. If the theory is ever slightly higher, then it's probably just more so because it's talked about.
I feel like in order for this one to work, it would have to be like a alternate ego for Tenna and stuff.
Yeah.
And that could have been cool.
That could have been cool.
That could have worked.
Yeah, this was one of my top picks, you know, that, you know, it was mostly in the middle or whatever, probably because it wasn't talked about that much, but yeah. Gaster will be a secret boss. You can kind of see it moving towards the positive side, but it's also really flat. And you also have a bunch of ones. You know, some people thought that Gaster is the man that made Spamton and Jebel go crazy. So what if this will build up to him being the final secret boss in the last chapter? Something Gaster being the main boss would be too extreme because his point is to always stay hidden. So this would be fitting.
Yeah, this was definitely the theory I believed in.
Okay.
I definitely believed in this theory, and I still kind of do. I think he's more likely to be like a secret boss than a main boss. Still, it feels like it's something like, yeah, if you want to fight Gaster, you kind of have to go out of your way to get to him.
Yeah. People did mention, though, that for Gaster made more sense that he would be like a boss in the weird route, not as a secret boss. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I think that counts still as a secret boss, even if they're like a main boss in the weird route. Right?
No,
Even if it's only on the main route, I still think that counts as a secret boss because the weird route itself is a secret. Semantics, it doesn't matter. He's a super boss. Like, the whole secret boss term is dumb from the jump. Should have always just been like super boss. And hey, if they're harder than the final boss, they're a super boss. That's just how it is. So yeah, Gaster, logically, unless he's the final boss.
Do you feel like it's more likely that he'll be a main boss? You know, he has a lot of build-up, you know, the Garner Maker, years of build-up.
I think
talking
Friend
in the
is more
midpoint.
likely to just be a main boss.
Yeah.
You can fight Friend, and then you'll fight Gaster as a secret boss or something. I think that makes sense.
Probably. I guess I do have to do the sword route.
Can't believe you haven't played it yet.
Because the knight looks hard. People say it's harder than Stance. People said it was harder than Sans, and you're like a pro gamer.
I didn't do the genocide route in Undertale, to be honest. So maybe I don't have room to talk, but like, I didn't want to do the grinding. I just didn't care.
I want to see you. I want to see you do that.
I'll probably do it sometime eventually.
Okay. Gaster also basically literally made the prophecy. I feel like that's gotten way more likely, so he might be brought up in their main route in some way, shape, or form. See, that's kind of what I believed back in the Chapter 2 days, you know? It seems like people think that still. The negative ratings, though, seem to come from people that think he's gonna be a boss in a different way, and also from people that just want it to be kept secret. So it's a bit of both. People who think people are over-analyzing Gaster, or people who think he'll be a main boss, you know? As simple as that. This is an interesting graph, though. It's weird.
Yeah.
Rouxls Kaard will be a secret boss. This was on the bonus survey that I did a little bit before the game came out. And so it has less results, but I don't think it would have done like terrible if it had like a full sample size, but it would have definitely been leaning towards the negative side, but probably be a bit flat.
Yeah, I think this is a kind of a dumb idea.
Now at this point, yeah.
Even in Chapter 2 days, this was dumb, though. He already has a normal boss fight.
And we have 3 of them. Why do we need a secret boss of him? It's very redundant. It's technically not debunked, but it's very redundant, you know?
There's no fucking way this man has a shadow crystal. There's no way. He's a dumbass. No, he doesn't know shit.
What is his role in the story? Is he just a funny guy?
He's comic relief. He's comic relief. He shows up and he does a funny gaff, and then he fucks off because there's no funny business in Chapter 4. There's no time for funniness in Chapter 4.
Except
it's all serious.
Person, I guess.
They're not a funnier character than we've ever had before. Right? That's why he's the key to all of this. But even though he's the key to all of this, he's not a secret boss. He's not gonna have a shadow crystal. Nah, nope.
Text responses.
Not gonna happen.
People did just see him as a reoccurring character. Do you think he's foreshadowing for something? What do you think his purpose is?
He does nothing. His purpose is to be a gag character. He shows up and he's trying to be the villain's right-hand man. That's it. That's his entire gag.
Each time.
Which Craig's question is, will he show up in Chapter 5? It feels like the last chance for him to show up. Will he try to be Asgore's second in command? What would that look like? What would that entail? Will Ralsei have to fight Rouxls Kaard? We're going back to all the beginning with the Ralsei secret boss fight, right? Ralsei secret boss fight 1-on-1 against Rouxls Kaard. So who gets to be the prince of the dark world?
Okay, so what if okay, yeah, I'm just throwing this out here. What if that like represents Asgore, follow Carol, that I don't know.
I'm gonna be honest, if this did happening, it would be fucking lame and stupid and I'd hate it.
The secret boss?
Yeah, if Rouxls Kaard was a secret boss, it'd be lame and stupid.
Yeah, especially now.
Okay.
That's it. There were a couple of theories that we felt were a little hard to just talk about individually because they're so similar, and like I feel like it would be bad for the video to stretch it out just for no reason. It's theories about the soul orders for like the secret bosses, like which soul mode are we gonna have for this secret boss and this secret boss? I don't know, it didn't seem like we did get something like that, you know? But basically, there were like 4 different ones. The first one is reverse boss order souls in Undertale. So red, yellow, purple, green, blue, and then Snowdin has like the different colored attacks of like cyan and orange, and that would be where cyan and orange modes would be. And then flower shop is red, yellow, orange, green, purple, blue, cyan. The way the flowers are sorted, the gold one, that's supposed to represent the red one because it's like blank in a way or whatever, or determination. And then there's like the reverse soul order of the Omega Flowey battle. Red, yellow, green, purple, blue, orange, cyan. And then there's like the order of the flowers in a spring newsletter. The one from 2024. Red, yellow, green, blue, orange, cyan, purple. And most of these were trying to find a pattern where red and yellow would be first. Most of these wouldn't care or mind. I did see people discussing this, but I guess in the end, people weren't really that invested in this.
Yeah, it's a matter of like nobody actually cared, right? People would like consider it, be like, well, maybe we'll get them in this order, or maybe it's this order, but it wasn't like a high stakes thing. Nobody was like betting their life on it like they were with like night theories and shit like that, you know?
None of these ratings are really that far from each other. Some of them are slightly lower. It seems, I don't know, I guess for these theories, it seems to be less about the order and more about how the order is made from the evidence. You have to find the right thing to be evidence for people to be like, okay, maybe this one's right. Because the pattern isn't based on somewhere flimsy for Toby to reasonably hint at that. I was kind of surprised once I got green as the third soul mode didn't like get the highest votes because that's what I thought people were arguing for the most. You know, because Undyne would be in that chapter. But it didn't end up being right anyways, because, you know, Gerson.
It's not even really a pattern, but like, if there's any semblance of one that we can like look to in retrospect, I don't know, maybe it's every other one is red.
Maybe.
So it's like red, yellow, red, green, red, purple, red.
I guess.
Maybe that. Yeah. Maybe that's what it will be. I could see that.
Yeah, some of these kind of fell into the reverse Undertale theories, you know, with the Omega Flowey one and the boss order, you know. I remember seeing a weird one that used Sans in the No Mercy route for Jevil, like the No Mercy battles in reverse order. Like, that was weird. I guess it was just so Undyne would be third or something, because Muffet is the third one. I'm sad that we're probably never gonna see an official, like, cyan and orange soul mode, because, like, we never got that in Undertale.
Yeah, well, we didn't have those as a soul mode because we had them as the attacks instead, right? The cyan color attacks, you're supposed to be patient and wait and just let them pass through and not move. And then the orange ones, you got to be courageous and move through them because you're moving, they don't damage you. So yeah those are meant to be the stand-ins for the soul modes instead.
I'm aware of that, but I would have liked.
But they're not even in Deltarune. There's no cyan orange soul color attacks in Deltarune. They got rid of them. They made the bullet system. They made the bullet hell worse.
I think Undertale, unfortunately, has one that like's pretty faithful to what the soul represents for like cyan, even if the battle looks kind of whack. But you know, I think it makes sense.
I remember seeing that.
Yeah, it makes sense for it being patience. This just feels like a weird like monkey on a typewriter theory, you know?
Yeah, random bullshit go.
Yeah, random bullshit go. But I do actually have a little new theory I came up with or whatever. It's probably not true, but I'm gonna show it here anyway. First, I gotta find it.
I mean, these were the type of theories that people would talk about when they were bored and didn't want to talk about the night or some shit like that, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay, so let's say the flower shop order is actually the correct one. First, it's Jevil on the gold one, blank, determination, and then it's Spamton on the yellow one, and then it's Iram on the orange because he's orange, and then Gerson on green because the green soul mode, and then it goes around again. Whoa, I noticed the colors and they match. Can you believe that? So if you still want these soul mode color theories to be alive, then here you have one. What do you think about this one, Chestnut? Do you think this one makes sense?
Kind of a stretch, but we'll see. We'll see if purple's next.
We'll see if purple's next. Iram's the orange one, not just because they're orange, but because orange and cyan don't have soul mode. So the secret bosses for those colors are going to be something not that. They're going to be different, which is why the third one is a color that doesn't have a soul mode, you know? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I guess that makes sense. It makes enough sense, I guess. Yeah, sure.
I guess. Why not? Why the hell not? Wait, this one's just going to be weird regardless because we're going to meet the flowers anyway. Wait a minute.
Yeah, those
Wait,
flowers
these are
are
under
gonna
glass.
become darkeners, and they're all gonna be like mini bosses.
Wait.
and
They're
shit.
under glass. They're under glass, though. What if they
Yes.
aren't even affected? What if they
That would
aren't
be
even
weird
affected?
and lame. That would be so fucking lame.
What if-
They're the only cool aspect of Flower King. If Toby doesn't do something with these goddamn flowers, I'm gonna be so pissed.
That's enough. I do have a text response here I'm a little confused about. I need to make a video about Deltarune, but I've already covered the newsletter. I assume it's making a joke about these being theories. I'm trying to make a stretching stuff out, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Soul color order for the secret bosses does not have a set order we know about. Now we actually get to this is one of the few that we
Decided to do separately.
and it's because it's the one that was true. You know, it's also the one that people like the most, you know? It's pretty positive, but you also have this weird spike in the middle. Because, you had some people saying that this isn't even a theory. There was, like, a suspicious amount of text responses that were in uppercase. A lot of them, you know? Yawn! This isn't even a theory, what are you talking about? People got mad at me or something, so I guess that's where the 5 out of 10s came from. For people not seeing it as a theory.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, this was correct. Nobody guessed it. I don't think anybody guessed that we would do red again in 3, and then green in chapter 4. I think most people thought we were gonna do green in chapter 3.
Well, technically, Ram's the boss or something.
Yeah,
Ram,
if you want to be like that. I have seen people be like, "Oh, well, technically the Zelda games, that's technically a new soul mode," and I'm like, I don't think that counts.
I don't think that counts.
I don't think that counts. I definitely knew. It's definitely different. I don't think I count it as a soul mode though.
I know you said this was correct, but technically this one hasn't been proven yet. Like I showed with the theory on the previous one. So
I
technically,
guessed.
Yeah, you got him.
I don't know.
Who knows?
Whatever. I don't really
next
care
one.
at this point. If we get cool soul mode, whatever. Just make the bosses good, Toby. I don't care.
Yeah. But what if the bosses weren't good? That's where the rest of the soul modes, a red theory, comes in. So the summary that I wrote was, some believe the yellow soul mode
Was a
one-time
occurrence.
That's it. That's the summary I wrote. This is also a counter theory, but instead of being like, oh, we don't know, this goes in the opposite direction, and it's like, fuck those damn colors. I hate colors.
Yeah.
I'd be black and white instead. This just came from like one Discord message I saw, and I was like, well, that's enough for this to be counted on the survey.
I mean,
Nobody liked this. Nobody liked this.
Yeah, nobody likes this. It would be lame. Like, it's not even necessarily that we need all the secret bosses to like not be red, but like
yeah, like the colored souls are such a memorable part of the gameplay in Undertale. Of course, a lot of people are gonna find this theory lame. As one person said, boring game design.
It's pretty boring.
Yeah, you know remember the thing that
Toby said
the secret bosses have like been based on like stuff that Toby wasn't able to do in Undertale.
Yeah, Spamton and Gerson. Yes.
Yeah, those are like based around like Gerson from Undertale and the Metaton Neon fight. He wasn't able to do that.
Yeah.
Like a scrapped full song for it too. Clearly, we weren't gonna just get yellow, you know? Does that mean we're gonna get an Alphys fight or something?
No, because I don't think... How many people actually want an Alphys fight?
Well, there's fan games for it.
Sure.
There's big popular fan games for it, so clearly people wanted it.
If we get an Alphys fight, I'll be surprised. I guess it will be kind of funny. I don't think it would necessarily be good or work.
Well,
in the narrative.
okay. Spamton is not Metaton, so it doesn't necessarily have to be Alphys. It just has to be Alphys adjacent, or maybe
I don't think that counts.
Neon. Metaton
Just
Neon
because
counts.
we fight like an Alphys shaped figure, I don't think. I mean, okay, maybe we'll fight an Alphys goner that like Gaster makes for some fucking reason.
That's weird. I mean, the Metaton body thing was like made by Alphys, so I don't know. Maybe that's enough for Toby.
That's enough.
He better do fucking cyan and orange, though. He better do it. I'm gonna get mad if we never get
We're
it.
not getting them.
I'm gonna get mad. I'm gonna get pissed off. Like, other people brought up the cyan and orange soul mode. Like, that being a thing. People wanted that. Clearly, there's an audience for it. People want it. You can't just deny it. Andrew Cunningham's Gaster motif analysis theory. This is, remember back in the controversial theories video, the map that gave Undertale to the Pope? This was also one of the things that was mentioned, and I was like, how do I even mention that? But also at the same time, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about like the Freedom Motif theory or he had, which we'll actually get to later here. Also, this breaks the rule I set for myself by not mentioning creators by name, like Molly Stars or Spooky Dude or Jaru.
Yes.
Basically, the video, he uses a machine in his possession to analyze Gaster's leitmotif and if it would show up in the game. He wanted a proper video for it because there were some other ones that he didn't like or whatever. It would have been better if I just dropped this one and just had the big theory he had in his video, which comes next, you know? Yeah.
Because this one is just like, hey, did you like this Andrew Cunningham video?
Yeah, there were some people who hadn't watched the video, but you can see some people were confused. You can see I was even confused how to phrase the question about like deeper thoughts, like what would you think if Andrew Cunningham's Gaster motifed over the analysis theorying words? How am I supposed to phrase this? Another text response. I honestly just hate Gaster. Sorry.
Hate Gaster.
You know, it got high votes because it's more of an analysis, you know. Text responses acknowledge that. Yep, he sure did analyze those Gaster motifs. It's evidence, not a theory. It's basically what this is. I don't know how big of a point this was for some, but Andrew made like a point that like there was like thematic connections between like Noelle and Gaster, and you know, Noelle is like into video game secrets. We saw that from the Spamton sweepstakes, and that would like make a connection between Gaster and Des and those things, you know, making it clear that, oh, Des is like in the code, and that was like used as explanation for like, this is why Des is in the code, because that's what the leitmotifs are saying. For the actual video itself, though, I think it's pretty great. Though there are some hiccups I want to mention here. Now I actually have a place to mention it. Okay, so Andrew said that the Holy was less of a Gaster match than the Man theme, even though both melodies were different from the actual Gaster theme in the exact same way. You can add the Man just on the end of the Holy, the melody that plays. And it matches completely. They're different from the Gaster motif in the exact same way. So I don't know why the Holy was scored lower. It was mostly just because the Egg Room had Gaster connections. But then you're just not actually judging them based on the contents of, you know, the music, I guess. This was an interesting video to watch and like be aware of like Gaster just showing up in random places. So playing chapter 4, I was quite surprised by all the Gaster motif drops I heard, like the prayer they sing at the church. Yeah, but going back to the earlier chapters, I kind of realized that there were some songs that he didn't include in the original video, which he could have. I don't know, maybe he didn't notice that. That's fine. But I want to show those. In a town called Hometown, it shows up. Here I've marked the notes, the Gaster notes. It even includes the silly little sound that it uses. In my castle town, it also shows up again. It's the same stuff again. I forgot about this, but it shows up in Field of Hopes and Dreams as well. And then, originally, I thought it was at the end of Queen's theme, but now it's different here. It would have been like this if it was. But no, it goes all the way up there, almost an octave instead. But this is more similar to that one part in The World Revolving. Just thought this would be important to mention anyways, even though I misheard. That was it, basically.
Oh,
I know
okay.
you did. But what do you feel about that? Like Gaster just
Uh,
blatantly being there.
I don't know. I don't know any music stuff.
Well, I know music stuff, and I know my shit.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Okay, I could say the Queen one. I was wrong on that one. I wouldn't keep lying and say, oh, it was right.
Okay.
The main melody found in each secret boss is referencing Gaster. This was the big theory from Andrew Cunningham's video. This was the Freedom Motif.
Right. Yeah. The Freedom Motif is like a reference to Gaster's theme. Is that it? That's what it's asking?
Yeah.
Okay.
People really like this one. And not all of the new secret bosses had this one, except Gerson. He had it for a little bit. The theme itself is still being played.
The knight doesn't have the Freedom Motif.
No.
Because it's not optional.
Uram doesn't have it. But
it's weird because Gerson's boss fight is optional. You don't have to do it. But he also has a prophecy panel associated with him. And that prophecy panel was like written about and known about, and Gerson himself wrote about it in Lord of the Hammer, which really highlights how like Gerson really does feel like he was supposed to be a mandatory boss. Like it's weird that he's optional because it really feels like he shouldn't be.
This is less about the melody like reappearing and more so about what the melody is. You know, it's kind of hard to say if it's debunked or confirmed unless Toby goes out of his way to be like, oh, this is not an accident, this is referencing Gaster. But obviously he's never gonna say that. But also you can literally just look at the notes. It's Gaster.
Yeah.
You don't have to argue against it.
Yeah, the Freedom Motif is kind of a bit of an odd spot, right?
Yeah.
It's there for 3 out of the 4 secret bosses, so it's like it's mostly consistent.
Wait, maybe
it'll probably show up again.
Maybe your theory about like a strange person was right because it's only like Jevil and Spamton that was like crazy. So maybe it was just dust or something. I don't know. Just an idea I had right now. But what if it's the Shadow Crystal motif? Maybe.
I mean, yeah, like Gerson wasn't crazy, but he was also like a dead Lightner.
Yeah.
And he also was like, he just knew the prophecy because he read the Bible.
Yeah, but Spamton and Jevil are objects. They're literal objects. I don't understand how, oh, Gerson is a dead Lightner is a point.
Yeah, it's weird. Because like I guess the logic is meant to be they were interacted with. I don't know.
Elvin is a strange person. And there isn't really much to say about this one. The wrong theory is actually more interesting. Which was each secret boss will reference the previous secret boss track. The reason why this melody in Jevil's battle theme reappears in Spamton's theme, because it's referencing the previous, and it's going to continue with the third one. The third one is going to reference Spamton, and then the fourth one is going to reference whatever the third secret boss was, you know? This is basically like a counter theory.
Yes.
The Gaster remix secret boss thing.
Yeah, this is wrong, right?
This one is wrong. Very wrong. This one was just straight up wrong. We went like far away from the typical chapter formula. The other one was actually correct.
Yeah, Black Knife doesn't have the Freedom motif, and it also has no Spamton motifs.
No, it doesn't need the Freedom. It just needs something Spamton related because that was the last secret boss. But it doesn't have that.
Well, I'm just saying it doesn't have either.
Eram doesn't
have either. And then Gerson comes in, you know, but he does have the Freedom motif and nothing else. I mean, he does you know, reference his own motif and battle against the true hero, I think.
Yeah, I think he references Ruins.
I don't remember.
And Undying, you know.
Yes, yeah, it's mostly Undying. It's mostly Spear of Justice. Does it have battle against the true hero? I can't remember. Maybe I'm thinking of like a fan.
That's Ruins. That's the Ruins thing.
Wait, is battle against the true hero just Ruins?
Yes. You didn't know that?
Oh, I never noticed that. I never noticed that.
Yeah.
I'm not a music guy. I'm not.
I'm a music guy. I make music. Okay. Did you know that?
Anyways, yes, I know
that. Oh, I'm not just talking to you. You know, some other notes I wrote down here. If the game was like a time loop, Jevil was actually referencing chapter 7 because, you know, there's no chapter before chapter 1. So what would Jevil reference? If it obviously referenced chapter 7 because of the time loop or whatever. I don't know. Let's just reproduce some of the text. I felt like we would say more here. I feel like that would get really messy real fast. The amount of leitmotifs you have to keep track of. That was like not what I meant. It seems like it was kind of misinterpreted, you know, as like, oh, it's going to reference both Jevil and Spamton. 1, 2, 3, 4 in the 5th one, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the 6th one. keeps a bunch of them banging up on each other. I didn't even write it vaguely or in plural. I just wrote each secret boss music track will reference the previous secret boss track. You had a typo. Just 2 chapters. 2. How embarrassing. Ha 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 ha. I suck. I miswrote it. What am I gonna do, Chest?
Oh,
I'm terrible.
I don't know.
No, I'm terrible at this.
Okay.
Let's just talk about the ratings because we forgot to. It doesn't seem like people like this.
Very middle theory. People
Very
did not
middle.
hate it, but people did not like it either. It was
Yeah.
very middle. Kind of
Something.
like a Lapras in the ocean shaped graph.
I guess people wanted it to be Gaster related because it's one of the few
Yeah.
Gaster hints we have, you know.
I mean, people fucking loved their Freedom Motif. I was so excited to be like, oh yeah, we're gonna get 2 new secret bosses with the Freedom Motif in it. It's gonna be so hype. I did think of that before the new chapters come out, and I only got one. I only got 1 new boss theme with the Freedom
It was
Motif
just
in it.
there for a second.
Toby cheaped out on me.
I mean, that's not really necessarily what the theory was arguing for, but yeah.
I got swindled. Swindled, I say. I thought I was gonna get 2, and I only got 1.
Okay.
Psst. Hey, sorry for interrupting, but these videos take a lot of time, so it'd be nice if you could check out my Patreon. I have different tiers and different previews and such, so you can support me full-time there, or also my Ko-Fi. That also has the function to send a one-time donation, so if you want to do that instead, then go off. And if you don't have any of those, then that's okay, because you can go to my Bandcamp. All of my albums are set to pick your own price, so you can easily just pick a random album and buy that for any price. Or none. So that's nice, you get something for the donation. Yay! And if you can't any of those, then you can always just subscribe. Thank you.
Here we have another category that we're just going to talk about in one go. We might stop and talk about one of these a little bit more deeper, but shadow crystal theories. This is an element in regard to like the secret bosses that was theorized about because Spamton had one was found for like Jevil. That was like kind of retconned in a little bit.
Yes.
And
Yeah, because the shadow crystals weren't a thing when the original chapter 1 came out.
Nope.
They were added in chapter 2.
yeah.
Most of these theories are like speculating on what the shadow crystals do when you use them as a
because
key
you got
item.
like specific dialogue.
Yeah, specifically, if you use the shadow crystals in the dark world, it would show you the light world. If you used the glass, which is what the shadow crystals turned into in the light world, with Susie, it would say Susie looked at you coldly. And if you used it when Chris was alone, it would say that you saw through your hand. Right, that was the dialogue in chapters 1 and 2. And so that's what these theories are centered around, that dialogue, specifically trying to figure out what it's exactly doing.
That Chris hand one. I guess that's set up for Chris losing an arm. That's a new theory.
Well, yes, because there was more stuff connected to it, right? So I think it's good to just get into the first theory on the list, which is the shadow crystals show the future. This one got like pretty like mixed middle results.
Yeah.
But this one also seems to be the one that ended up being correct, I would say. At the very least, this is the only one that I think is like still reasonably considerable of this list, I'm pretty sure.
Both this and like it showing the past did pretty similarly. I'm kind of surprised. It's showing the past got higher
because
votes.
the past one doesn't make any sense with Chris not having a hand, unless it's meant to be showing so far in the past that Chris wasn't born yet.
No, Chris was a vessel and they hadn't gotten the arm by Gaster.
yeah, because the past one doesn't.
The
make
past
that much
has
sense,
more
but-
5s though, and less 6.
That's-
But I don't know. They're both very in the middle. It kind of doesn't matter at the same time.
Yeah, but with the new Shadow Crystal dialogue and stuff and the new chapters,
Yeah.
it does seem to be showing the future specifically. But it's also like weird because it might not be like just the future. It seems to be like specifically the worst possible future or like the weird root future or something along those lines, right? Because
that
like
was a theory,
you
too.
can bring the chapter 2 Shadow Crystal into chapter 3 by not giving it to Sean. And you can use it at the start of the chapter and it will still give you the dialogue saying that you see the TV smashed in. It specifically shows you the future where Tana dies and doesn't get revived, where you don't get the recruits. And it always shows that in chapter 3 in the Dark World.
Oh, okay.
Right? It shows you that even before Tana dies, it shows you that even if you've gotten all the recruits, and in chapter 4, if you got all the recruits, then the TV doesn't get smashed in. So that really does highlight the idea that we are seeing the future, especially with the Chris losing a hand dialogue and all the other additional hints now in the new chapters that Chris is just going to lose a hand, right? Because we have that 1225 with the gumball machine. That's also teasing that. Noelle and Susie talk about like a character from, I think, Blood Crusher
that horror
specifically
film.
losing a hand and like the severed hand walking around and stuff. So yeah, it does seem like there's a lot of setup for Chris losing a hand, at least if things don't go well. I guess. It does seem like the idea is it shows the worst possible future specifically, but also that future is somewhat malleable, despite the fact that Deltarune is the whole idea is that everything's predetermined and unchangeable, right? Because the player has enough free will to change some things, because that's been demonstrated, right? We can save Tenna, right? We can, the chapter 1 ending's different and stuff. We can do the weird route and make things even worse, right? So the player does have the ability to change some things in that sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Trying to remember what the chapter 4 Shadow Crystal dialogue is, because I know though it's like, oh, you can't change the prophecy if you use it in the Dark World specifically. It talks about the prophecy panels. I know if you use it like in the Light World in Noelle's house, it'll specifically give you dialogue about Noelle being close against you and like whispering something.
Oh, okay.
Which seems to be talking specifically about the Weird Root scene.
Right, okay, yeah.
So there's also
something
weirdness in that regarding it. It might not necessarily be the future specifically, but it will show you future events, but like also just the worst case scenarios. It's a little odd.
One of these other theories is kind of similar to it, but a little different. Like, Shadow Crystals shows a reality where the viewer doesn't exist, you know?
Yes.
It's like a reality where things are completely different. Or like Shadow Crystals show a reality where Chris doesn't exist. I know you like that theory.
That was my Shadow Crystal theory back in the chapter 2 days. I made a video on it and stuff. I would say that theory was reasonable at the time, right? It made sense with the dialogue we had in chapters 1 and 2. It's like, yeah, if Chris didn't exist, neither would the Dark Worlds, therefore you would see the Light World. If Chris didn't exist, you know, you could hypothetically argue that Susie would just kind of be staring off distance like coldly. That could kind of make sense if you like finagle it a little bit. And the whole not seeing through the hand thing made sense with the idea of Chris not existing. Right? So it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, that makes enough sense. Especially when you also factor in like Goner Kid from Undertale, who talks about the same concept. And with the Shadow Crystals seemingly being connected to Gaster in some capacity, then like that idea correlates with each other and it would make enough sense. But it seems to be incorrect with the new information we've gotten in the new chapters, which is fine. You know, I don't really care that much.
Yeah, that's fair. It was kind of inconsequential, I guess.
It was not like a ride or die theory by any means, you know?
People seem to kind of prefer if the Shadow Crystal shows if the viewer doesn't exist instead. And I didn't have much against the Chris one, but I kind of added that one because I felt like that made a little more sense to me. I guess people like that one more. Yeah, why did the secret bosses have these crystals?
It makes more sense with the viewer doesn't exist than Chris specifically. Because then it's just like, why are we signaling out Chris so much, right? It's a bit odd. First one does the same thing anyway, but just makes more sense.
You know, that kind of focuses in on like how the secret bosses went crazy. But a lot of these are kind of rated very similarly in the middle, like with the hyperlink block category. Just like with the hyperlink block category, there is like one clear winner, and this one got very high positive votes. The secret bosses went crazy directly because of the strange man and not because of the shadow crystals themselves.
Yes, but I don't really know if I necessarily would say that's a shadow crystal theory. That's more of like a Gaster theory that's put in opposition to the shadow crystals.
I guess. Yeah.
I mean, like, that seems to be true, question mark? It's not clear. Gerson isn't crazy, and he didn't use his shadow crystal. But he also didn't interact with a strange man either.
No, he's just gone. He just disappears. Maybe that's theory.
And then we also have, like, the knight. Is the knight crazy? Right? I guess if we're just talking about, like, Jevil and Spamton, it's pretty heavily implied that he went insane because he, like, learned the prophecy from Gaster.
Yeah.
It makes sense, especially in regards to Spamton, because it's like, oh, if he learns that free will is not real, that would definitely definitely negatively impacts Spamton specifically, because that was like his entire thing was like, oh, he's a salesman because he wants freedom, but he lives in a reality where free will doesn't exist.
The shadow crystal was found in the machine. Yeah, he was crazy beforehand. So
yeah, it's not even clear if he even had access to the shadow crystal at all until he got inside the machine. The timeline is not 100% clear regarding that.
There were some other ones. I didn't include everything probably, but we do have shadow crystals show that Deltarune is a video game. Seemed like people didn't think the game would be that meta, but as we can see here,
I don't even remember this theory, to be honest.
You don't remember it?
Not really.
It's fair. I saw it mentioned a couple of times, I guess.
Shadow crystals show a previous time loop. I mean, that's basically the same as shadow crystals just showing the future, right?
Yeah, except it's like both the past and the future. This is more so just a Jaru thing. It's like a sub-theory within his time loop thing. But there were some other shadow crystal theories here about specific characters who have shadow crystals.
Ralsei has a shadow crystal theory,
which we talked about earlier.
In specifically, Ralsei will be a secret boss theory, because the two kind of go hand in hand, obviously. Right? If you're assuming Ralsei is going to be a secret boss, you'd probably assume he has a shadow crystal too. I feel decently confident in this theory now. I used to be kind of iffy on it, but now I definitely like it a lot more. I think it's much more likely.
Ralsei was obviously Gaster pilled, but like I can understand if you were unsure about him having a shadow crystal. He knew the prophecy and all that.
Yeah, but with the new stuff we got, like I mentioned earlier, I do think this is true. Even if he's not specifically this next super boss, right? Even if
he's like a
solo boss fight against somebody like Suzy got, I think he's going to be the one to actually have the shadow crystal in that scenario, even if we're playing as Ralsei. And then after the boss fight, he'll just pull the shadow crystal out of his pocket and be like, yeah, I had this the whole time.
Why? What specifically makes him pull it out and not earlier?
Because he did a boss fight.
Okay.
That's it. That's
okay. I feel like a little bit more is going to happen.
It's part of his character arc, man.
Okay.
He's gonna have some character stuff, you know. It's like chapter 4 was entirely about Suzy, and now chapter 5 is gonna be entirely about Ralsei.
I mean, Suzy's literally like a main character, though. Some people have been saying that she is literally the main character instead of like Chris, you know. So.
Oh yeah, Ralsei is also a main character.
Yeah, but I mean, people are saying that Suzy is the main character, you know.
I mean, they're kind of right, but also like, no, that's Chris.
No, Chris is the point of view character. We're just viewing the story through them.
This is such like dumb semantics. It's a 3-man band. Come on, people. They're all the main character. It's not how these things even work.
Yeah, we also have like Sham has a shadow crystal.
This is very reasonable to believe.
Yeah, this is the most liked out of those 3 that I put on the category.
It would be kind of surprising if Sham didn't have a shadow crystal.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that Sham says there's only 2 more, that doesn't remove the idea that they have one.
But do you think this one's more likely than Ralsei having one? Or do you think
Not
it's like
necessarily.
50-50? Yeah, that's fair.
It feels like Sham should have one, but I could also see it where they just don't, right? Like if that theory ends up being like wrong, I'm not going to necessarily be surprised.
Chris has a shadow crystal. I feel like this one's a little redundant. But yeah, this is what I put on here.
I think it makes some amount of sense.
But people didn't really like it at all.
That's also, keep in mind, I feel like in regards to like big anti-Chris Knight rhetoric.
Yeah.
If Chris isn't involved in anything,
Chris is
and
innocent.
that's just not true. Chris is heavily involved in everything regarding the Dark Worlds.
Triple Trucies, you know, they're part of the Fun Gang, the Hometown Conspiracy Gang, and the Night Gang. All of them.
It's not even necessarily that. It's just a matter of just like the characters that have the shadow crystals are like, what, 2 OCs from Chris and Des herself, and then Gerson. So it's just like, the idea of Chris also having a shadow crystal, especially since the whole idea regarding these is that most of these characters are like prophecy / Gaster pilled to some capacity. Even Gerson, kind of. It would make some amount of sense that Chris already has a shadow crystal. Whether or not this will be actually true feels unlikely. I think it's not impossible.
But I feel like Shaman or Ralsei are a bit more interesting.
Yeah. When I say Ralsei has a shadow crystal, I'm also kind of thinking about it within the theory of the shadow crystals themselves are like abandoned dreams of Lightners. So like the reason why Ralsei would have a shadow crystal is specifically because it came from Chris.
Because
right? In the same way that the Spamton's Shadow Crystal formed from Metaton, abandoning his dream of like getting a new body and stuff. In a similar vein, you can also argue that for Gerson too, right? The Gerson's Shadow Crystal came from like Alvin abandoning his dream of following his father's footsteps and writing the next chapter of Lord of the Hammer and stuff. The reason why Ralsei has a Shadow Crystal is because Chris abandoned their dream of like becoming a monster and being like their family and stuff. And that this is why Ralsei is the headband and why it makes sense. And this is why Ralsei has the Shadow Crystal. He'll explain all this lore after he gives us it, assuming this is all correct in chapter 5. Jevil was retconned in, so we don't have to worry about him.
So it was a abandoned dream from someone that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They don't matter. I know you want Red Headband Theory to be confirmed in chapter 5, but what if it doesn't happen and we only get like the Shadow Crystal scene with Ralsei? Red Headband is confirmed later, but not in chapter 5, but we get the Shadow.
See, that would be odd. It's just like, why even do that? But like, I could also totally fucking see them doing that, right? I could see them pulling that shit. It would just be weird. I could see it also being like, he explains it to the player and Chris, but not Susie. I could see that. And I'd be fine with that.
It just makes Ralsei more interesting in that regard, I feel.
I would agree. That's why I like the theory.
More than Sham, you know?
Yes.
I think it's a little funny how irrelevant he is to all this, you know? If the person who abandoned their dream to Jevil or whatever isn't going to be brought up, I think that's a little funny.
Yes.
Why was it retconned in? Why was that retconned in for Jevil?
I don't know. Maybe Des has a lot of Shadow Crystals, so he just got like an extra one from her or some shit.
Okay. Damn, I wish Jevil did a little
also
bit more.
seems to be potentially made out of Shadow Crystals. There's a Shadow Crystal inside the sword. It's very weird. It does feel like the Shadow Crystals are not specifically coming from just Des, though, because it feels super heavily implied from Swatch and Sham that the Shadow Crystal in Chapter 2 that Spamton has was specifically from Metaton. You can also extrapolate from that the Shadow Crystal in Chapter 4 that Gerson has came from like Alvin, probably. And I think it would make sense that Ralsei would have a Shadow Crystal based off of that logic. They came from Chris specifically.
Yeah. Secret bosses represent the 7 deadly sins. This is like a theory. I said that all the secret bosses would represent the 7 deadly sins, because so far we can see that Jevil represents pride, and Spamton represents greed. And this would also continue the religious imagery in the game. And this is like a pattern theory, you know? They're looking at 2 points and being like, okay, but what does it say, you know? This is not the first one. You've seen this before.
Yeah. This theory is primarily, in a lot of ways, kind of born from the fact that there's 7 chapters. So therefore, it's like, 7 chapters, we can do the 7 deadly sins.
Yeah.
And it's like, very much like a played out trope. When stuff does the 7 deadly sins trope, right? It's very in your face. They're very front forward with it. It's not like subtle, right?
Yeah, people pointed that out. Like text responses like, every piece of media has a deadly sins theory, lol. And Spamton is in a coma, woo! You know, it reminds people of these like bad theories for like popular pieces of media, you know? Stuff
okay,
like
but
that.
Birdly was in a coma in the Woodroot, you know? That does happen.
Yeah, you get the idea.
It honestly, it felt
It's
like
lame.
a stretch,
It's
even
so lame.
in the first 2 chapters. Like, oh yeah, Spamton's agreed and stuff, but it's like, I don't know, he kind of like portrays most of the sins. He's very wrathful. He's very violent.
Is he lustful?
Yes, he is.
Okay, no. Okay. Since we broke free from like the secret bosses having like set patterns, you know, Jevil represented pride, and then the Spamton represents all the other deadly sins. There we go. That's how the theory still works. But yeah, I didn't like this back then. It was just kind of like, okay, and then what type of theory back then. That's just how I felt about it back then. It's just so lame. Like, what does this actually do with the themes of the game? Sure, it continues the religious imagery, but like, what else? What does it actually do with the themes of the game? Like you said, 7 chapters. Oh, you know what else there's 7 of? Yeah.
It just kind of would make the secret bosses lamer and more one note. And it also doesn't even feel like it's true, even in regards to like Jevil and Spamton. Like, they both feel like very much of a stretch in both cases.
Yeah, I know people like this on all pattern theories, and this is not a good one. But I feel like this...
They got decently high ratings.
It's still not great, though. It's kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
Some people did not like this.
I think I talked about this already in like a previous part. randomly.
I don't know if you did. I don't even remember that.
I vaguely recall it.
I don't recall it. I know it's set up. I know it's set up to break the pattern. And this is a bad pattern theory, but like not everything with the formula is bad. It's just more so how it's implemented, and this is just implemented a really boring fucking way. People who were right about the game also believed in pattern theories to some degree, you know. Most people didn't think it would have like the knight appearing in chapter 3 and then big shock to the system, you know.
Yeah, sure, but what's Gerson's sin? Which of the
Gerson's
7
sin.
deadly sins is Gerson?
No, he's pride. He's too happy or happy.
I thought
about the books
Jevel was
he's written.
pride.
Well, both. I don't know.
It's
Who cares?
pretty debunked. It doesn't work at all.
It doesn't work anymore with the current chapters and how the story is structured, you know?
It barely worked in the first 2 chapters.
Yeah, but the way it formed, the way it even formed to begin with, it makes sense why it formed because, you know, it had a set formula and, you know, 7. Okay, there's not much else to say about this. Fuck this theory.
Bye-bye theory.
Bye-bye theory. Des made the secret bosses go crazy. This one's on the bonus survey. I just remember
Because,
I came
like-
across a big thread about the strange person, and this was the only candidate that made me go, sure, I can add that. I think the other ones were like, it was like Gaster, Des, and I think the other ones were like Alphys and the Vessel, but I don't know. I didn't add those.
Yeah, because usually it's like, because back in the day it was primarily just Gaster was like 99% of it, and then there was some fringe theories like this one or something akin to like mine and like Baldur's theory of like, oh, it was like some penumbra trauma from the bunker that like is getting manifested into the dark world. That theory is still plausible because the whole Chris Dust multi-night stuff and how they have the shared trauma and how the dark world are based on their shared mutual wills and experiences. So that's still on the table. But like, and also like this theory particularly, obviously it did not score very well, but I guarantee it would do better now because Death as the Knight is now definitely much higher on the list of people who people are considering. Because right now it's kind of just like, did Death do that, or did Gaster do that, or did Friend do that, right?
Yeah.
And those are kind of just the 3 candidates.
Now we have Friend now. Now we have someone else to worry about.
Are like considering. Friend, it just kind of feels like an extension of Gaster's will,
Friend,
to be fair.
Friend better just be Gaster or some shit.
But also it's a matter of like, Des made the secret bosses, right? Des made Jevel and Spamton. You know, she made those Darkners. They're literally just her OCs and stuff. Which is so funny to think about, where it's like Chris and Des made up all these OCs and that's what the Darkners are. It's so funny to think about Chris like backing away from Spamton after he jumps out of the dumpster, and Chris is just thinking, oh fuck, why did I make this guy? You know? It's like, I forgot about this fucker.
What the summary said, at least, it was more so based around the fact that like Gaster is like stuck in the depths, so it doesn't make sense for him to like be able to like get to the secret bosses and make them crazy. So it was arguing that Des is like no longer stuck where she is because the dialogue is written as if it happened years ago, which was true, but
yes. Well, that's the weird thing too, right? Sham talks about the strange someone and the knight as being like 2 different people in a sense. But like, the dialogue is very vague, right? But like, it could have been like Des in the past to some extent.
Oh, that's weird.
Then, right? Like, logically it's possible.
I
right?
guess.
Like, she interacted with all these objects. She's the one who like came up with them in the first place. And that happened before she became the knight. And then as the knight, she came back and made dark fountains and turned them into darkness.
Oh, that's weird, but I guess that could make sense.
I think it's probably Friend, because Friend was also around at that time. They followed the pointed tail and then got lost in the dark and stuff.
Yeah.
That was Friend, probably, seemingly.
No shit, sure.
But then it also could have just been Gaster. Gaster could have done it because Gaster logically should have also been around at the time. It's confusing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would say this theory is still possible. It could definitely still be true. Especially with all the weird night shadow crystals stuff. Yeah.
So hyperlink block theories, those had their very own category, 8 theories, but we decided to, for efficiency's sake, we're gonna talk about them all in one bunch, you know? People did want hyperlink block to mean something, it seemed like, you know, judging by the very first 2 theories in the category. The theory that it wasn't anything special is like one of the flattered.
Yeah.
Very weird looking compared to like hyperlink block is blocking a specific topic. You can see that one did well. People wanted it to mean something. Though what
Yes.
I meant with that second one, it's blocking a specific topic rather than like a word, like some people thought. You know,
Yeah.
whatever. It's not too big of the deal. It kind of
yeah.
at the end of the day. What did you think back then? I was just more like, it'll make sense in the future.
I don't even really remember what I thought about Hyperlink Blocked, to be honest.
For a lot of I didn't include everything. But I had like hyperlink block is literal, like it means that something is being linked and that link is being blocked. And hyperlink blocked is determination. Ooh, we're bringing that back. Or hyperlink block is freedom. Freedom. Whoa, the freedom word. Everyone wants freedom. This game is about freedom.
Honestly, if I had to guess,
is love. Hyperlink block is power. Hyperlink block is an unknown power. Bunch of these.
If I had to guess what it is now, I think the idea is it's meant to be Spamton copying Tenna's.
Yes, I wrote that down.
A PNG, and that like it's just getting blocked because he's fucking like a spam like virus shit.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. I saw that when like looking up things for this, and I thought it made perfect sense. Spam is trying to do the same dialogue quirk that Tenna has.
And since
I think that makes
Tenna's like PNG dialogue, right? Those aren't all the one same phrase, so it would make sense that hyperlink block also isn't a single word or phrase. Because they're meant to be like PNGs, like Tenna's text is.
Yeah, it means that hyperlink blocked isn't a specific word of some kind. There was like I know it's Jaru, but he had like a really
interesting video where he
went through theories surrounding here, and it's not like the one he ended up with in the end was a badly rated one here. It's actually hyperlink block is loved, and that one did decently enough here. It's actually the second best one here.
Yeah. Hyperlink block is loved is a good theory. It makes sense in most of the cases, but I'm pretty sure there's like the Valentine's newsletter.
Yeah, it was.
Spamton say love.
It does. It was kind of debunked there. Yeah, I do really like that theory that he was just copying Tenna because it follows through on that and their relationship. I think that makes perfect sense. Besides that, hyperlink block did show up in chapter 4, like that one NPC. And I'm picking the wrong dialogue option for that, and I got really pissed.
Yeah.
Made me annoyed. But yeah, let's just show all the ratings again. Look at these ratings. Whoa. And then we're gonna move on from hyperlink block theories forever.
Yeah. Most of the other hyperlink block theories just don't really work because he just says the phrase, right? He can't be freedom because he just says freedom normally. Yeah.
He never says love in the game. It was just in the
Does he say power in the game? I think he does.
Maybe. Power is lame. It's like, what's that supposed to mean? It's just kind of a basic word. Looking at how much people cared and how much knowledge they had, it seemed like it's the typical, they say they care about it and they say they have knowledge on it. It's, it's not, these are just more so, see if these stats are just more so used when I want to see how people who are more confident or more casual on these believe, just so that's clear what these really are for. What, do you have any things you want to say on Secret Boss series before we leave this topic forever to rot?
I wonder how things will shape up in chapter 6 and 7, because like there's gonna be like the final Shadow Crystal we get in chapter 5, but I doubt there's not gonna be more super bosses after that. It feels like, if anything, like in order to even get the chapter 6 super boss, you're gonna have to beat the first 5 to begin with, sort of thing. Like if you don't have the Pure Crystal, you can't even fight the chapter 6 super boss, right? That's kind of feels like what we're gonna be doing.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's good.
Wow, you actually watched all the way to the end. You might be the kind of person that would be interested in a new survey. Yeah, that's right. This time, you get to rate chapters 3 and 4 of theories. Theories like Carol Knight, Neil Woody theory. Well, why did you stop being green? It's in the description and the pinned comment. So I recommend you do it right now. It'll make me very happy. I spent all this time and I made this just for you. If you're interested in seeing more from the survey, then check out the videos from specific categories already out within the playlist, or subscribe for more of these, or other videos. Or you can subscribe for our personalities. I guess that's possible too. Who wouldn't want more of this goat? I already have enough of him. Well, that's it for me. Check out my Patreon, my Ko-Fi, my other art like music, or Chestnut's channel. Okay, see you later. Bye bye.